Greetings, everybody. It's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is my series Horror Movie Superlatives that I am collaborating with my good friend Carlin Cook. We're going through each year of the 70s now and picking out some categories from all the horror movies released that year. The rules are we actually have to have watched the movies that we're selecting, and we're going to use a movie once for each category. Before I get started, if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you consider hitting that subscribe button on my channel and Carlin's as well, and of course hit those notification bells so you don't miss a video. Carlin puts out a few videos a week of really in-depth movie reviews, and I have this series and my Nails in a Coffin series that are released every Friday, and those are a lot of fun. So again, after you watch my video of my selections, please go to Carlin's channel. Link will be down in the description. Watch his video with the same title as this one. Then go to his channel under his community tab, and we need everybody to vote on who they thought had the better selections. Whether those selections closely resembled your own or whoever had the best certifications. It's up to you. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's get started and let's pick out some horror movie superlatives for 1971. For my most amazing selection, I went with one of my favorite giallo films, A Bay of Blood. An early example of a classic slasher years before Black Christmas and Halloween. Movies about when a rich countess dies, strange murders befall the people trying to claim her property in this wonderful movie. I initially wanted to put this movie in my best gore category since there's incredible scenes of gore, especially where you see a machete facial, but I enjoyed this movie for all of its wonders, so I had to select it for most amazing. The death scenes in this movie are great. It starts with an elderly woman in a wheelchair being hanged, and it's an uncomfortable kill since it was done so well, and her wheelchair gets pushed back, while she has the noose around her neck, and right when the wheel stops spinning on the wheelchair, she loses her life and dies. And I love that little nuance from Mario Bava. The little attention to details he puts in his movies really show what a talented director he is. I love this movie, and great kills in it, a great story, and an early example of a great slasher that was probably imitated for many years to come. So I hope you check this movie out, and A Bay of Blood is my selection for the most amazing horror movie of 1971. My selection for the So Bad It's Good film goes to Werewolves on Wheels. The title alone is going to make you want to watch this movie. It's billed as the first horror motorcycle film, and I don't doubt that for a second. It's exactly what you get. It's a silly movie that really is a lot of fun. Produced by the same person who produced another amazing film, The Hitcher, and he actually used some of the same locations for both films. Real quick, the movie's about a bunch of bikers that find a temple which is occupied by a group of monks, and the monks feed them food and wine. The food and wine is drugged, and the bikers pass out. And some ceremonies are performed, the monks are killed by the bikers, and then the bikers ride on who were given the mark by the monks before they were killed. This is not a good movie, but and since you only get to see one werewolf on wheels towards the very end, but it's a fun, cheesy movie from the early 70s. It has a grindhouse feels to it. Like I said, it's not a good movie, but it's entertaining, and it definitely is so bad it's good. For my most WTF movie, I went with The Devils. It's about 17th century France, where Father Grandier is a priest who has unorthodox views on sex and religion, and this influences a passionate following of nuns, including a sexually obsessed one. Power-hungry cardinal realizes he must eliminate the father so he can gain control of France. So he portrays the father as a Satanist, and this starts a public outcry to destroy the priest's reputation. Now, because of the subject matter, this film is known as one of the most controversial horror films ever made. Now, it's not really controversial in today's standards, but going back to 1971, this movie was very WTF and controversial first time, especially when you compare it to the other horror movies that came out in 1971. And again, for this series that Carl and I are doing, we can only go by movies we've seen, and we can only use a movie once for each category. So based on all the movies I've seen that came out in 1971, The Devils definitely is the most WTF movie to come out that year. Now for my best gore category. This one, I'll admit, is going to be a hard sell because I haven't seen a lot of movies in 1971, and I wanted to select Bay of Blood, but I went with another movie that I really did enjoy, The Abominable Dr. Phibes. It's about Dr. Anton Phibes, played by the wonderful Vincent Price. He's a famous concert organist, and he has a doctorate in music and theology. And he was believed to be killed in a car crash. He actually survives, and his face is all mangled, but he actually remade his face using prosthetics and using his knowledge of acoustics. Since he had a doctorate in music, he's able to use like a voice box of this sort. He shows up in London, and he believes his wife was the victim of like malpractice from doctors, and he has a plan to kill everybody he believes responsible for his death. Again, it stars Vincent Price, and he always puts out a great performance. And one of my favorite bands, the horror punk icons of Misfits, even have a song titled "The Abominable Doctor Fives." I do adore the look of Doctor Fives at the end. He looks great, and it actually looks like someone who had to reconstruct their own face after horrific accident. Now, again, Bay of Blood definitely has the better gore, but they could only use a movie once, and Bay of Blood was definitely more amazing. And there wasn't a lot of gore in this film, but I love the set design, I love the costumes, and I love the way that Dr. Fives looked at the end. So, for all the movies I've seen in 1971, I selected The Abominable Dr. Fives as Best Gore. And for my most unique category, I went with Steven Spielberg's full length feature directorial debut, Duel. Movie's a cat and mouse chase between a man in his car and a truck driver who you never see. Not sure how they sold this movie on paper because it sounds really simple, but it was based off of a short story. And the movie starts off with David Mann, a traveling salesman. He's behind his truck on the highway. He overtakes the truck. Truck doesn't like this, so the truck overtakes David. David overtakes the truck again, and then David's fate is sealed for the rest of the movie as the truck starts stalking him and tries to kill him in every chance he gets. The movie shows what you can do with very little. I love how you never see the truck driver and you never find out what his real motivation is. And yeah, Steven Spielberg was great at building tension and atmosphere with very little, only showing vehicles and really one main character. One of the most unique movies I've really ever seen, and looking at all the movies that come out in 1971, Duel surely is the most unique horror film to come out that year. And for my most overrated category, I went with Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Jessica is recently released from a mental ward, and she wants to return to her normal life after having a nervous breakdown. But when she moves to a country house with her husband and a close friend, she finds a mysterious girl living there who may or not be a vampire. Jessica starts showing a lot of terror and paranoia. It all resurfaces from all this evil forces she thinks that's surrounding her, and it's really starting to mess with her. She's having visions, and she doesn't know if the visions are real or if she's having another nervous breakdown. There's not a lot of shock or gore to this movie, and yeah, watching movies for this series, this is the one that I just thought was okay. I know it has a cult following, but I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I just thought it was okay. Let me know in the comments down below if you do like Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Maybe give me a different perspective. Again, not a bad movie. I just think it was a little forgettable, and I think it tried a little bit too hard to be unsettling. There are also some slow parts, and I think the pacing wasn't that great. I kept waiting for something to happen and grab my attention, and nothing ever really, grabbed me. But not the best movie in the world, definitely not the worst, but my selection for the most overrated horror movie to come out in 1971. And finally, my selection for the most underrated horror movie goes to Willard. I love this movie. Willard, nagged by his mother, he's bullied by his boss. He's a young man who trains rats to kill for him. Willard is played by Bruce Dern, and he has an excellent performance. The animal trainers definitely had their work cut out for them, and they did an amazing job. I like this movie because it's about a social outcast who gets revenge on people who bullied and mistreated him. Willard didn't start out as a bad guy. He was kicked while he was down just once too many times, and it just pushed him over the edge. They did a remake of this movie starring Crispin Glover as Willard, but I like the original. It's a solid movie. Willard starts off as a sympathetic character, but then he starts using his rat army for revenge, and then he realizes he may have gone too far, and the rats turn on him. The plot sounds silly, but it works extremely well. It's wonderful to see what these trainers got the rats to do for this film. I mean, great performances all around, and surely definitely a very underrated horror movie, and my selection for the most underrated horror movie to come out in 1971. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my selections. Here's a quick summary. Most amazing, one of my favorite giallo movies ever, A Bay of Blood. So bad it's good, a real fun movie, werewolves on wheels. WTF movie, the controversial The Devils. Best score, not a lot to go by on this one, sorry, but I had to go with The Abominable Dr. Phibes. Most unique, Steven Spielberg's directorial debut, Duel. Most overrated, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. And most underrated, The Wonderful Willard. I want to say thanks again for watching this video. Now, please go to Carlin's channel, link will be in the description, and watch his video with the same name, and then you're going to go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had the better picks, whether those person's selections closely resembled your own, or whoever you thought had the better justifications. Doesn't matter. It's all in good fun. But please watch both videos before you vote. I'd really appreciate it. Also, again, please do me a favor and consider hitting that subscribe button on both of our channels and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. And check out my Nails in a Coffin series. I have a ton of fun making those videos, and I really think you're going to enjoy them. So, take care, everybody. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Stay happy. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. And remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.